a doctor and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and any materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition that they may have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professional for any such conditions. Hello and welcome to Mind, Body, Luminosity, the podcast where we dive into the realms of health and wellness and equip you with the tools that you need to live a vibrant life. I'm your host, Dr. Holly Kendra, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey towards optimal well-being. Today, as we are starting to wind down our first season of episodes here, I have an awesome guest for you all today. It is a dear friend of mine, Dr. Amanda Blanford. She is also a naturopathic doctor, and we attended Bastyr together, which was how we met. And she was incredibly instrumental in helping me relocate over here to the great state of Michigan. So I'm going to have Dr. Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Hello. So my name's Dr. Amanda Blanford. I have a small practice over in Rockford, Michigan. We just actually got done moving to a new location, which was super fun. We're finally getting out of the boxes and things right now, so we have a much bigger office. We have acupuncture, do hydrotherapy, naturopathic consultations, and several other services that we offer. We do many different tools at our practice, and it's just working on giving people the tools that they need to kind of reach their wellness goals, right? So
perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome to our podcast today. Dr. Amanda, one of the reasons I really am excited that your podcast fell on today, this day specifically, is because this week is Naturopathic Medicine Week. And it is something that is put on jointly between the American Association of Naturopathic Doctors and the Canadian Association of Naturopathic Doctors. They kind of jointly are trying to lead this effort to help expand awareness and knowledge of naturopathic medicine, who we are, what we do, etc. So I love that you're on here today because you are also a naturopathic doctor. And so we're two naturopathic doctors sharing the importance of our medicine right now. And so I wanted to just kind of touch on that a little bit and like your thoughts on naturopathic medicine and like how did you decide to become a naturopathic doctor? What brought you to the medicine and what is your view on the medicine?
that's a lot. I'll touch on a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell into it. I didn't actually know that naturopathic medicine existed a year before I was in school for it, right? But I was a massage therapist and kept realizing nobody's getting better. Like, why are people seeing all these doctors? They were seeing chiropractors, functional MDs and DOs. They were seeing nurse practitioners who are supposed to be more connected with like natural medicine and getting that way, but no one was getting better, right? I kept seeing the same people in my practice week after week. And that led me to do some more searching of there's got to be a better way. Mm-hmm. And that's when I tripped across naturopathic medicine, right? Like the whole purpose of that is to actually heal the body from inside out to address the imbalance. And once you do that, the symptoms take care of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what kind of drove me into it. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but I went to school for it, so.
Right. And I'm right there with you. I think it's pretty awesome. And you touched on something that I think is really vital to naturopathic medicine, and that's the aspect of the vitalism piece of naturopathic medicine. I feel like sometimes today that can get lost a little, in the realm of trying to get all the licensure aspect going and trying to, stay, quote unquote relevant to the medical community and, be seen as equals. We keep trying to be seen as equals, but it's, naturopathic medicine, we're different because we look at the body as its own vital human being that, has an inherent ability to heal itself when given the right tools. And that's kind of the vitalistic perspective that drew me to naturopathic medicine as well. You want to touch on that anymore?
That's vitalism in a nutshell. Basically, instead of saying your body is broken, right? You are sick because there is a germ. You are sick because, there's poison in the water. There's poison in the air. All of these different things. If you actually work on giving your body the building blocks that it needs, whether that is stress management, drinking enough water, getting enough sunshine, right? Taking 5 minutes out of your day just to stare at a wall because you're so busy, right? All of these things, these self-care things, give your body the tools that it needs to rejuvenate itself, right? Like most of the time, and as long as everything went well with like pregnancy, little babies don't really need anything, right? They've got everything that they need as long as you feed them, change their butts, right? Like take care of them. But when you're looking at why do they get sick? Why do people get sick? Whether some people are sick as children or when they're older, that's what matters. And I can't believe that it's just genetics, right? Because if that was the case, when everybody's running around with the BRCA genes for breast cancer, why doesn't everybody with the gene get cancer, right?
Right.
So that's where naturopathic medicine kind of shines, because if you work on strengthening the person, right? Like, do you have the right nutrients? And it could be that you need more chromium than the average person, right? Like for some reason, your body, you have to have twice as much chromium to make sure that you don't get diabetes when you get older, right? Or it could be you need to make sure that you're exercising more, like your body, your nervous system needs more activation, or hydrotherapy helps provide that so your whole body works very well together, right? So
Yeah. I love that. And that's, like I said, that's kind of what drew me to naturopathic medicine to begin with. Is like, why are we always feeling like there's something in the body that needs to be fixed? You don't have a chromium deficiency. You don't have a PPI deficiency. If you have GERD, you don't have a PPI deficiency. You have a Nexium deficiency. There is something else going on there. And let's try and get to the root of the problem. And let's start with the determinants of health. And that's, something that I do a lot in my practice is I work determinants of health with people, because if you can lay that foundation, like we talked about in, I think it was the first episode, if you can lay that foundation for good, solid health, then everything else falls into place, right?
Yep, I agree. Well, the thing that people don't realize is your symptoms are simply your body talking to you. Like if bodies spoke English or whatever your native language is, in my instance, it's English, you would be able to say, hey, I need more vitamin B. Great. I will take a vitamin B. I'll rest for a day or two and we'll be good to go. But that's not the way bodies work, right?
Right.
So like your stomach, you have heartburn maybe because you're not digesting food very well. And that's your body telling you that. Or maybe your ankle hurts because, you walked 10 miles the day before. Or maybe you just don't have enough protein in your diet, right? Or you have a fever. That is a positive symptom of your immune system rising up to fight off whatever it's in contact with. I mean, we're surrounded by thousands of germs every day.
Right.
Why aren't we sick all the time?
Right.
So that's important to look at, and supporting those determinants of health, right? Like making sure you're eating right, exercising, right? The basic things we need as human animals to survive. I mean, you can look at squirrels, you can look at deer, bears, right? They all do same basic things, right? They ingest things, they eliminate things, they take rests when they need to. And we human animals have kind of gotten away from that because we're all running this busy rat race all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important to take a minute, take a breath, ground yourself, and then figure out what you need to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And I think, you touched on something there that I think is really important. And that's like, we've kind of lost our connection to the earth in some ways because we don't see ourselves as part of it. I think a lot of the time, we see ourselves as external to the system that, of the fact that we are a mammal on this planet Earth, and we have a connection to the earth. And so, doing things like grounding or getting sunlight or, breathing fresh air and not just sitting in an office in front of a computer screen all day, these things that seem trivial, but they are so inherent to the fact that like we are human beings on this planet Earth. And, our time is finite here. We don't know how long we are going to last. And so you need to be able to come home to the earth sometimes. Maybe that might sound a little esoteric, but it's because we are so far removed from that right now, right? Something else I kind of want to dive into a little bit here, a little bit connected to this, but sidestepping a little bit. I get talked to often when I tell people, oh, I'm a naturopathic doctor. They're always like, oh, so you're a homeopath. And I have to pause for a minute and be like, okay, so yes, homeopathy is one piece of what I do, but it's different. It's its own modality within naturopathic medicine. And I don't really actually consider myself a homeopath. Like, I know just enough to get myself in trouble is what I like to say, because I can do some of the acute remedies, but I don't do a lot in the realm of the constitutional homeopathy and like the way it was really made to be used. But you do. That's something that you have dived into a lot deeper than I have. So when you encounter people who are curious about homeopathy, how do you describe that to them?
Yeah, so homeopathy is amazing. Basically, you're taking nature, diluting it, and giving it to somebody so that they can kind of become stronger and overcome their symptoms, right? So basically what a homeopathic remedy is, it's a sample of plant, animal, mineral, whatever. They take a little piece of it, add it to a tincture, which is just a liquid solution, and then they take a drop of that to 99 drops of water in the C potencies and et cetera, and just dilute it out. Homeopathy works on the principle of less is more. So the more dilute something is, the more powerful. I know that's completely counterintuitive to how modern science tells us. We now have new research studies that are backing up what homeopathy's been telling us for the last few hundred years. And then also it works on like cures like. So the goal is when I'm working with clients of mine, I really want to understand what's going on for them. Okay, you have a headache. Well, thousands of people have a headache, but what makes your headache unique? Oh, I have a headache in the morning, or it feels like there's 1,000 tiny hammers, or it feels like there's a band of pressure, or all of these different things help me figure out what remedy would be best. You mentioned acute. That's basically taking a symptom in the moment, like, oh, my little one has a fever. Okay, let's try this remedy. Oh, there's a cut on my leg, then let's try this remedy, right? And the sooner you get the remedy, the faster the reaction can be. But anytime after an injury, sometimes decades later, you can take a remedy such as arnica, for instance, and have a positive effect, right? Arnica is great for any sort of acute bruising injuries, right?
Yeah, that's the one actually, funny enough that you bring that one up, because that's the one that actually kind of took me down the naturopathic medicine path. I was in a car accident when I was 16. I missed the deer, but hit the tree. And everybody, I've learned now, hit the deer. You don't hit the tree, hit the deer. And so my whole face was black and blue because, this was before a lot of cars had airbags. I had this ancient old beater because I was 16 years old, right? And so no airbags. I punched myself in the face, and so my whole face was black and blue, and my broken bones and everything. And my cousin recommended take some arnica, and I was like, "What is arnica?" So I found it. It was these little pellets. I started taking it, and the next day, it had changed from black and blue to like yellow green. Usually a process that takes weeks. And so I started to learn more about it, and that's kind of what drove me towards naturopathic medicine. And funny enough, I thought that would be where my love in in naturopathic medicine would shine, is homeopathy. But I got in there and I was like, oh, this is incredible. But I went straight for phys med. Working with my hands was just way more exciting to me than homeopathy. But homeopathy has so many different angles that you can come at it from, and it's so individualized, which is I think one of the things that I love about it, because like you said, you really want to know what makes your condition different than somebody else's. And so if you're listening and you're like, okay, I have this headache, well, how is your headache different? Start thinking about that, and maybe if you want to go see Dr. Amanda for a homeopathic remedy, she'll be able to help kind of tease out what makes your headache different, and what are the different qualities of headaches and things like that, because we all experience things differently, and so I say that to everybody about naturopathic medicine. It's an individualized approach. No two people go through something the same way. So I love that.
Yeah, that's why I like homeopathy so much, because I can really taper and tailor it to the specific person, right? Some people need more potency, a stronger remedy. Some people are very sensitive and you need a weaker remedy, for lack of a better term, right? Something that's not as potent. And it's great because it's so natural. Basically, you're matching it to the person, right? And what it does is they're little magic sugar pellets. You can get them in drops too, right? Depending on the company that you get them, or if your doctor makes them for you, right? I do a lot of putting things together in office. And what it does is kind of irritates your inner vitality, that inner energy, wherever it comes from, that makes you tick, right? Keeps you getting up in the morning every day, helps irritate that energy to overcome whatever's going on, right? Whether it's a fever, whether it's a broken bone, whether it's, you're just stuck in a funk, right? And you're having a blue mood most days, or you're anxious, or whatever is going on. It just gives your body the tools that it needs to balance itself back out, right? So remember, symptoms, everything I explain to my clients, everything is a seesaw, right? So you stay up late watching Netflix, you don't eat the right things, you had a bowl of ice cream the night before, whatever, then your body has to balance that back out with the symptoms, right? And homeopathy is a tool that just helps that seesaw balance out more efficiently and effectively, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah. I love that. And, it's something, it kind of leads me to the conversation that I have to have with people sometimes about healing crises and we're healing. And so Herring's law of cure is something that we learned in naturopathic medical school about healing in the reverse order of, how things happen, and from the top down, from the inside out. And so, we have to have that conversation with people, when we are stimulating this innate ability to heal, that things may get a little worse before they get better, and don't be surprised if, maybe you experiencing, maybe a symptom pops up from 5 years ago that you thought you were over and now it comes back. Well, that's part of the healing process, really, is your body's trying to heal itself. You've given it some of these tools to help it heal itself. And that's, something that we have to help our clients remember as they work through the healing process.
I explain it like Shrek did back in the first Shrek movie with layers of an
The
onion.
onion,
People are complex, right? So that's how healing works. In some people have more layers than other folks, but it's literally peeling off the layers of the onion to get to the inner core of
I love that.
who you are as a person, right? Who you want to be. So
right, and your optimum vitality, and being the best you can be with your health. I love that. I'm gonna have to remember that.
I try to make it very simple, right? Because it's our medicine. There's so many things out there that can make it really complex and convoluted. You have to get these labs done, or you have to get all these things done. And sometimes people are able to do that, and sometimes they aren't. I work with people from all kinds of financial backgrounds, right? And I don't want people to feel limited, right? Obviously, we're not licensed as doctors in this state. So people, if they bring in labs, I just look it over and educate them on what the lab is saying. But it just gives another tool to help them understand why they are where they are, right? To get them balanced out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I get questions a lot from people that, well, what labs are good for this, or what labs are good for that, or what supplements are good for this. And, for me, it's always, let's push pause for a minute and let's figure out where you are at, in your health condition, and what are your goals? Where are you at? Where are you trying to get to? And let's find the easiest path for you, because, you may not need to go out and order hundreds of dollars worth of labs, because what you can tell me from your symptoms might be enough for me to be like, okay, you might need some more vitamin B. Let's work on that, and then go from there. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I want to pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about your practice and the kinds of things. I know you said you do hydrotherapy, you do homeopathy, you have an acupuncturist in your office, you do massage, body work, things like that. Tell us a little bit more about, if somebody was curious about working with you, what are some of the things that you offer and that you recommend in your office?
Yeah, so the first thing I do with everybody who's interested is I offer a 15-minute discovery visit. It's just $20 for the visit so that you can get in the door, meet me, walk around the practice, make sure it's a good fit for what you want. My goal with everything is to make sure that it's going to meet you where you want to be, right? I don't want you in my practice if it's not a good fit, right? I want to help you go find somebody else. I've referred people out to other NDs because I think personality-wise, they may be able to do a better job than what I can for where they're at, right? The thing I love about naturopathic medicine is just meeting people where they are, right? It's as simple as, right, you come into my office and you're a smoker. You already know smoking is bad, right? You're there to try to be the healthiest you for where you are in that moment, right? And when you're ready to quit smoking, like, I'm there to support you, right? To kind of give you the tools that you need to optimize your respiratory system, your cardiac system, right? All those tools that you can use for that. But we really work on my practice as a less is more approach. I'm not really heavy on supplements, bare bones basics, obviously. We all know that our soils just don't have the nutrients that they did, like 50 years ago.
Exactly.
They did some studies back in the 70s, and I want to say like the early 2000s, they repeated the studies looking at nutrients and found that several nutrients were a lot less in foods than they were now, right?
Yeah.
So just supporting like basic nutrition, right? I do something called the Carroll Food Intolerance Method, which we talk more in depth about during a discovery visit, right? Which is just a way to kind of help optimize your digestive tract, right? And then we do other tools of like hydrotherapy, which is just great. I do constitutional hydrotherapy in my practice. Basically, it's just an oil change for your body, right? You give your car an oil change, make sure it has a tune-up, right? Why wouldn't you do an oil change for your system, right?
Right.
So it's just hot and cold towels, relaxing for an hour, right? So you can just listen to some quiet music, kind of get in tune with yourself and let your nervous system, your cardiovascular system sort of get a little bit of gentle stimuli, right? So that's kind of the way that I approach stuff, is really just customizing tools to each person for what they're looking for, what they're available for. I have some people just come in of like, hey, I have a headache. When my headache goes away, I'm done. I have other people who come in, hey, I need a whole overhaul of my entire lifestyle, right? I know I don't eat right. I know I don't exercise enough, right? And some people I see for a couple of visits, help them optimize their tool set, and then off they go. And other people, I've worked with several of my clients now for a couple of years of, touching every few months, like making sure they got what they need. If new symptoms crop up, we talk about that, right? So that's kind of how I approach things.
And this is a great adjunctive for working with your PCP, right? To have a naturopath on the back end that's going to help keep you healthy at the baseline level. It's going to mean when you go in to see your PCP and they want to run your annual labs, your lab reports are going to come back clear, and your PCP is going to be like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I've got this awesome naturopath, Dr. Blandford. She's taking really good care of me. So I think that's one way that we can really shine in the naturopathic and in the healthcare field. We're really trying to help people get healthy from the ground up so that we don't have to burden the healthcare system so much with all of the sickness and the disease and everything we've got going on.
Yeah, it's not about replacing your current healthcare team. It's about working with them.
Exactly.
If you have a primary care physician and you haven't seen them for a while, I will be the first one when you come and see me. Hey, you should go get some basic labs and just touch with your doctor. And then if you have any questions about what they say, we can totally chat about that next time. Like, my goal is to really convey information, right? One of our naturopathic principles, docere, right?
My
Doctor
favorite.
is teacher. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I love docere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of why we started this podcast, really.
Yeah, and it's all about that, right? Like, give the people the tools that they need, and they can maintain their health as best they can. And when something comes up, go back and see your primary care doctor. Come back and see me if you need to. Go see your nutritionist or your physical therapist or whoever you need to on your team to give you the tools that you need to be the healthiest you. Like, that's my goal for everybody. If we could all, walk and talk and be our best selves up until the day we keel over, fantastic, right? Like, that's what my goal is.
That's an awesome goal.
Yeah.
I love that goal.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other half of the conversation that I have with people when they come in for my discovery sessions is like, make sure you understand that like it's you doing the work. Like, I'm here to teach you, to educate you, to guide you, and give you the roadmap and like be your cheerleader on the side. But, ultimately it's up to you to do the work, and so you have to have a team around you to support you because nobody can do it alone,
Mhm.
really. And so, establish that team around you that will help you achieve that health and wellness goals that you're
Yeah,
trying to achieve.
totally. I mean, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a team to keep health, especially nowadays, because, when you're little and in school, they don't talk to you about what nutrition is. They don't
Mm-hmm.
tell you what a carb is or what a protein is or what a fat is or, why you would take certain calcium supplements over other ones, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't talk about any of these things, like even just drinking water.
Yeah.
They don't say, if you were young and you were in sports, they'll say, "Hey, drink water," but you don't know why. Like
Right.
water itself is in our our 70% of most people's bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? That means in order for your muscles to work, you have to have water. In order for your heart to beat without working too hard, you need to have enough blood volume, enough water. In
Mm-hmm.
order for your brain to think, you need to have enough water because water carries electrolytes for those cells to even talk to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something so simple, so basic. You would expect that, schools are teaching children this, but it's just not taught at this point.
Right.
That's something I'm working on. I'm actually hoping to put together some homeschool curriculum this fall of some basic nutrition classes that can be an online option or an in-person option so
I
that
love
kids
that.
can have the chance of it's not just mom telling you to drink water. Like there's a
There's a
reason for
reason.
it, right?
Yeah.
So
There's a reason my kids go to school with a water bottle this big.
right, exactly.
Please let
Yep,
them drink water.
yep,
Yes,
yep.
yes. So you're working on those courses, and we talked earlier. You're starting to put together some other educational opportunities as well for your community. Tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, with the economy flexing, I want to make sure that everybody can get to me, whether you can come in for a visit or not, right? I purposefully keep all my rates affordable, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
also want to add more diversity of options so that people can get the tools that they need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one big class series that I am putting together is July 10th will be the first day of it. It's a big 8-week homeopathic series. It'll be about an hour and a half a week. It's going to be an in-person component, and I'm also working on setting up so it can be live streaming as well as an option.
Oh, awesome.
We'll also have notes posted online after each session so that you can print things out, review it, and then ask questions the next week. But basically, it's going to train you to take a homeopathic kit. Usually it has anywhere between like 12 and 36 remedies in a basic kit, and how you can use those different remedies in different situations. And what's great about homeopathy is it's completely safe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you get the wrong remedy, it's not like a pharmaceutical where you're going to poison yourself.
Right.
Right? If
Right.
your toddler gets into your homeopathic remedy kit and swallows all the pellets, they may act a little goofy for a day or so, right? But they're at no risk of dying, right?
Right.
They're okay.
Right.
Because of the way that homeopathy is diluted. As long as you get it from a reputable company that is monitoring their manufacturing practices, right? Those remedies are safe.
Yeah.
I know that there's been instances in the last decade where remedies were toxic for kids, but it's again the manufacturing process was what was at fault. And as soon as that was taken care of, right, that was a horrible situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
A smear on homeopathy, but that's not the practice itself, right? So this class, like I said, 8 weeks long, about an hour and a half a week, right? I'm going to charge $225 for it. Just to be able to give people the tools, right? Your kiddo has a fever in the middle of the night. There's a remedy that can help support that kiddo, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a splinter in your finger and you just can't dig it out, right? There's a remedy to help safely support your body with healing itself and pushing that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your toddler puts a crayon in your eye. That happened. My 14-month-old decided that he would whip the toddler crayon back into my eye. There's a remedy to help support that, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also more of a chronic picture in which you'd want to go and talk to a health professional. But we're going to go over topics of like, what is homeopathy? Where does it kind of fit into the paradigm of conventional versus more vitalistic naturopathic medicine? Like, how does homeopathy fit under those umbrellas, right? why you would use certain remedies in different instances, what happens if a remedy doesn't work, right? How can you figure that out for yourself at home in a situation, right? And what's great is you try the homeopathic. If it doesn't help, you can call your doctor. You can go into the hospital, right? It's not something to use instead of. It is an adjunctive tool. And I just want to make sure people know how to use it. I mean, it's used by millions of people all over the world. India, it's their one of their primary health systems, right? They have homeopathic schools where doctors go and just learn homeopathy, and they're in the hospitals over there, right? As an option that people can use in conjunction with conventional allopathic medicine, right?
Right. Right. I love that. I love that. Giving more options for people to learn more, to be able to take an active role in their healthcare. That's huge. Amanda, can you tell us a little bit more about, you said you just moved offices. So where can people find you now if they want to learn more about you, who you are, what you do, your practice? Tell us a little bit more about that. I know I want to be respectful of your time, so...
Yeah, my practice is called Hazelnut Naturopathic Health. We're at hazelnutnaturopathic.com. I'm located in Rockford. Our new address is 11629 Northland Drive, Northeast Suite 101 in Rockford, Michigan, 49341. You can go online. We have a contact page. You can always call the office. I work part-time. I have two very busy children, two boys, 4 and 6. So
Boy moms.
I'm very busy with them. So I'm in the office on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we're available for, contact on other days or virtual visits as needed, right? But yeah, that's kind of the layout of us.
And you have a big event this weekend.
Yes,
share
right.
about
we
that.
have an open house this weekend. Thank you, Dr. Holly. So we're from 11 to 3 at our location. We're going to have a food truck there with like free healthy wraps. We're going to have an acupuncture demonstration. We have raffles for free, like a free massage or a free acupuncture visit or a gift card option. We're also putting together herbal sleep aids so that you could just take one of those home, put it next to your pillow and sleep, right? So, and then kind of see our new office. We're really working on networking with other community businesses to try to offer more things. Like we're connecting with like people who sell soaps. We have somebody who does local crafts and we're selling cards and things through them just to kind of make it more of a community space, right? We do like a community movie night, one night a month. It's usually on the third Wednesday or Thursday. We're still setting up our new scheduling with the new space. All of this stuff is going to be live on our website in about a week. You'll be able to sign up for the homeopathic class if you're interested. If you're not sure that you want to do the homeopathic class or any other class, feel free to call the office and we can get a hold of you and give you more information, right?
Yeah.
My goal is just to be one big vector of information, right? So questions, feel free to come by Saturday and come hang out with us, right? Like that's basically what it is clients new and old are going to come. We're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony with the Rockford Chamber of Commerce right around 11 a.m. when it opens up. So if you're interested in any of that, like you're all invited.
Yeah. I know I'm going to stop by. I've got a soccer game in the morning, like kiddo's last soccer game of the season, but then I'll be heading over in the afternoon to check out Dr. Amanda's brand new space and see everything that she's got going on there. So if anything that, she talked about as far as courses or educational opportunities sounded interesting to you, be sure to hit her up on her website and look for more information on that. Any last thoughts that you want to share with us today?
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
This was a great opportunity. I love networking again with local businesses and the fact that you're also a naturopathic doctor here in the great state of Michigan, right?
Yes. I am having a lot of fun sharing about who we are and what we do in this state, because in Washington there is almost a naturopath on every corner. It seemed like sometimes, and in Michigan I keep hearing, I'm looking for somebody like a doctor that listens to me or a doctor that doesn't just want to push pills. And I'm like, ooh, have I got something for you?
Yeah, my first visits are 60 to 90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Just to have a chance to chat. It's not a 15-minute,
in and out
meet and greet. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Dr. Amanda, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing with us your thoughts on naturopathic medicine, on vitalism, on homeopathy, and all the things. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Mind Body Luminosity. I hope you found today's episode enlightening and empowering, and that I want you to remember that your health is your greatest asset, and investing in it is key to living a fulfilling life. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it around. Leave us some comments on other health topics that you would like to hear more about, because that helps us deliver valuable content to you all. So until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and stay healthy. Wishing you wellness and abundance until we meet again. The information provided in this podcast and supporting material is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute the practice of medicine or other professional healthcare service, including the giving of medical advice. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and any materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition that they may have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professional for any such conditions.